As I sit here in my office this morning, there are reporters working feverishly all across the country trying to understand the story that's unfolding in front of us all, and that is the rampant abuses that are occurring in foreclosure courtrooms all across this country. Now, the story that broke recently regarding the Stephan affidavits is one that's caught everyone's attention right now. But you're just now starting to get the full impact and the potential consequences of these developments. For those of you that don't know, myself and other attorneys all across the state recently began receiving notices of withdrawal of these affidavits that had been submitted in court files and that were signed by an individual known as Stephan. Now, Tom Ice and Ice Legal over in West Palm Beach were one of the first law firms that had actually taken the deposition of this Stephan character, and in that deposition he admitted that although he was signing tens of thousands of affidavits a month, he had no personal knowledge of this. Now, that's staggering enough, and that kind of information should be enough to give all of our judges pause, but it was not. In fact, this has been widely ignored by judges all across the country. Well, something has given the lenders great pause in reviewing the procedures that were used to execute these affidavits of amounts due and owing, because the lender, in this case the first one was GMAC, announced a suspension of the foreclosure proceedings in 23 states. Now, the thing that I find most disappointing about this is the fact that it wasn't our judges that took note of the law, that read the depositions, and that realized that there was something terribly wrong with what was happening in their courtrooms. It was not a regulatory agency. It wasn't our attorneys general that jumped in quickly and shut this whole sham of proceedings down. This was the plaintiffs themselves. This was the people that are responsible for these misdeeds. While it's unclear why they felt the need to shut this down, one can only assume that it has something to do with the liability that they might face when they try to sell these properties after the fact. Specifically, because they are now admitting that the information that was used in these affidavits, the information presented to the court, was improper, there is considerable speculation that the judgments could be void or voidable that all of these affidavits are based upon. And I can only assume that a title insurer, maybe the major underwriters who would have been insuring the title to sell these properties after the fact, have said, hold on a second guys, we are not going to insure title on properties that are going forward out of these foreclosure cases. Now, I want you guys to look back in this blog and the blog of other attorneys and advocates like myself, and I want us to keep in mind that we've been warning for months that one of the consequences of this unfettered, unchecked legal process is going to be bankruptcy or failure of the title insurance companies. Another possible consequence would be that the title insurance companies would just say, wait a minute, we're not going to insure any of the title to foreclosed properties. And frankly, I think that's what's going to come down, is that the title insurance companies are now aware of the problems that have been reported here and elsewhere. The title insurance companies are going to tell all of these lenders that congratulations for rushing through all these foreclosures, but they're of no use to you. They're of no value to you because you're going to have to re-foreclose all of these properties before we will issue title. Part of where my suspicions in this come from are the knowledge that these foreclosure mills and the title companies are having big problems with re-foreclosures, and that is once they've rushed through a foreclosure, they've missed significant aspects of the foreclosure. They haven't named junior lien holders, they haven't gotten people properly served, and those are major violations. The Stephan affidavits and other things, while major, are not the very significant ones that I'm talking about, but nevertheless, there are major problems in title in there are major problems in title in many of these foreclosure cases, and that's undoubtedly given the title insurers great heartburn after the fact. So the fundamental question that I always ask in this foreclosure crisis, and I ask this of our Supreme Court, what is going to be the effect of jamming through 62% of, or clearing 62% of the foreclosure docket? What will be the effect of flooding the market with all those houses, number one? Number two, And as much as this hurried and rushed process is producing a bad legal outcome, our courts need to be very concerned about the re-foreclosure boom that's going to come. And that is going to be this junk that's been pushed through our system hurriedly, of such flawed procedures. That's not even taking into account the Attorney's General investigations of the 4 foreclosure mills operating in the state of Florida. But the fact of the matter is that the end product of this rushed foreclosure legal procedure is going to be rushed and improper legal work, and that's going to cause us problems for decades to come. The only way to get a handle on this crisis and on this problem is to stop this mad rush to foreclosures. Our courts need to be focusing on dismissing cases during this period and allowing the foreclosure cases to be refiled by local firms, the firms that are operating in the jurisdictions where the courts that are prosecuting their cases are. That way we've got some accountability in front of the judges that are prosecuting these cases. The lenders and the attorneys have a chance to re-examine all the cases and make sure the foreclosures are correct. Without that, we're dead in the water. Pay attention to all the national media that's going to be picking up on this Jeffrey Stephan issue, and take my suspicion here that this is just the beginning. Once they start rolling out more withdrawal of these affidavits, it's just going to be an avalanche, a mushroom cloud, where all of these affidavits are problematic. The court or the clients now are recognizing it and they're bringing it to the attention of the courts. It's dramatic developments here. Please continue to keep up the good fight. Please share all these stories with reporters so that they will continue to pick up the stories. And good fighting out there.